Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. How are we getting on? Welcome to a brand new camp build, and today we are back in the Cranberry Bog building a monorail tower camp. Of sorts, anyway, and this is a fun one. So let's jump in and take a look around this place. Okay then, so Cranberry Bog, there's a couple of places you can do this sort of thing, a couple of monorail towers that kind of work for it. The one I've chosen is over on the far side here. You can see the monorail line sort of snaking through there. We are just near the Veiled Sanddew Grove here. There's the Cranberry Glade. Head up north, you can see the abandoned bog town. And obviously, all the way down here is Watoga. So I picked this spot, despite being a fair way away from the main thoroughfare of the road, because it's open, it's clear, and it's reasonably flat. So it's a nice, simple place to build, mostly. We'll get into that in a moment. So we're going to start things off with the Wavy Willards walls that were in the Atomic Shop a few weeks ago. I've not had the opportunity to use these yet, so I wanted to try them out. So this is the door, the secret stone door, which I'm just kind of lining up with the tower because I want it to be in the centre. So we'll drop that in, and we'll extend it out. So these walls are a little on the clean side, really, for a wasteland type build and for my style. I usually go for a bit more scrappy, but we'll soon fix that in the decoration phase. So we're going to extend these out. So initially I've pushed this out quite a long way from the tower. It's right at the edge of the build area, but that is far too far back. So this camp would be way too large, or way larger than I want it. So we're going to pull those in a little bit closer. There we go. Much closer to the tower now, and we'll have a more compact build, which is usually better for the decoration phase and you don't run out of budget. So, snapping these together, they go together quite well, but we've got a little floating issue here. And you see, these walls have the toggle snapping option on them, which has been recently added to the game. A few of the fences and walls now have that feature. You can turn the snapping on and off, which is very, very handy for getting them to sit properly like this. Unfortunately, however, you can see they massively overlap when they snap there. So we're going to have to nudge these across a little bit and manually place them, which is fine. It means you've got more flexibility, but because they normally overlap so much, it means you've got different sections at different lengths, which is going to be an issue when it comes to making them match up again on the other side, or with the other side. But we'll get to how I solve that in a moment. For now, we've got that sorted so it's not floating. We'll continue to extend it down. It's actually a little further than I really want it to go, but it'll do for now. Gives us something to aim at from the other side. So we'll head over to this corner, snap that one in, and we've got it floating already. So we'll stick the second one in and drop that down using the toggle snapping even, if I put those in the right order. There we go, drop that in. Obviously we've got to deal with that overlap again because the collision's been awkward, and we'll just snap this one to the second piece, and then it sits correctly. There we go. Now we can carry on. I'll have to do that again in just a moment, which should go some way to offsetting the extension on the other side that came along when we had to manually place a couple of bits. So there we go, got another floater there. So we'll shove this one out the way and just nudge this over a little bit and drop it down. There we go, using that toggle snapping again, you can see at the bottom there. Sorted. Now we'll carry on. So that should be long enough. I don't want it sticking out too far behind either. Saying that, I will have to extend at least a section of it so I'll put a field in later, but we'll get to that. So I'm going to extend this along the back to close it off, but this is where, also I can see where I want it to go. You can see I've got a problem. This won't snap because the walls are too close together. The collision's being awkward, and the awkward positioning by doing it manually has caused issues. But starting from the other side, because for some reason, when you snap it that way round, with the thick post connecting through, it's a lot more cooperative. So it's not a perfect lineup, but it did work that way. So with the walls in place, let's get some defences in, or specifically guard posts. My initial idea here was to use the perimeter wall fences, but those things are awkward at the best of times, and I couldn't get them to sit in the way I wanted them to. So switched over and we'll put foundations in the corner. We'll lift those up so that we can see over the wall. And we'll stick a ramp on there as these work for guard posts that way. So that one's nice and easy. We'll point that ramp towards the front door. So we're looking sort of southward here. Stick a couple of railings on. They're not strictly necessary, but it makes it look a little bit more complete. So we'll do that. There we go. And we'll repeat on this side. I'll be doing the same thing in each corner, so I won't show you all of them, but the ones that we had a few issues with, primarily this one, I will show you because Then you have some idea of how I dealt with the problems I encountered. So we'll get that into place, lift it up to about the right height. It's close enough, maybe a little too low there. So we get the ramp on, and you can see it's not going to play ball because this corner, obviously you see there that the ground sort of leans upwards a little bit, kind of paths up a bit. So that ramp won't snap in as it's too low to the ground. So I could nudge this up a little higher, but I didn't really want to do that. I was just checking here that the angle with the wall wasn't the problem, because sometimes when you place things right up against, that will get in the way. Unfortunately, the error message it was giving me was not particularly informative, so a lot of trial and error went into this. We'll get that sorted out. It's not quite where I want it, but it's close enough for now. You can see it's still not playing ball, and I think it's just because of that bit of the ground there. So after much faffing, the solution I came up with was to pull all of the stuff out and just put a foundation opposite the door here, sort of where I wanted it to. We'll be doing this again in a minute, by the way, for something different. And get that lined up. Looks about right now. We'll snap the ramp onto that one, which is ever so slightly higher, as you sort of see from the ones the foundations we're standing on, that were originally snapped to the one in the corner. And now we can just lift that up, and yeah, it's a tiny bit higher than I wanted it to be, but it works, so that's a significant improvement. So we'll snap that first ramp back in, and there we go, we've got them edging towards the entrance there, and you can actually see where the way in and out is from the inside now. So get the railings on, and there we go, on to number 3. So this one was easier, but still not perfect. So we'll grab a foundation again. I can find it, there it is. Drop it into the corner. Lined up. A bit hard to eyeball it at this distance, but we'll fine tune. It's not too bad, a little bit wonky. Yeah, and we kind of straighten it up from one side, go around the other side, and then check the other angle is carefully aligned with the wall as well, so it's fitting nicely in the corner. Pop that up. And again, that's about as high as I want it, but we're going to run into much the same problem again. The ramp won't go in. Obviously on the left here, which is where I really wanted it, the ground is just way too high with all the debris at the bottom of the tower, so that's just not going to work. But on the side here, I can just pop this up ever so slightly, and then snap the ramp on, and it works just fine. Unfortunately, we have got one slight issue, that I can't path too smoothly onto the ramp, so we'll stick a stair across the bottom here. There we go, I should solve that problem. Nice. And we'll stick the railings on, and we're good. So, same thing in this corner. This one actually played ball, so I won't show you that one because it was dead easy. So, I want a couple of little shelters for my crafting benches now. Most of them are going to be down here, though a couple will be up top. So we're just going to snap one foundation onto the side here. I had to use the edge of the ramp to get them in, as otherwise they have a tendency to just not sit as low as I wanted them to. So there we go, a couple of half walls, angled corner piece roof on the top. As simple as that. And we just need a little support for that roof corner there. So staircase, a couple of half floors there that will follow around. And then we can use these to force the metal pillars and the stair tab, there we go, to snap on the corner. Nice. Do the same thing on the other side, and the roof will be duly supported. There we go. Nice and simple. So, we'll move on to the entranceway now. Although I do need to put some stairs on, so we might do that first. Yes, the entranceway had a lot of faff in it, so we're going to start somewhere a little odd for this one. And you'll have to have a look at where I am and why I'm doing it. So, see there, the idea is to have something out the front here so that you can find the entrance, because I wanted to use the secret door but still be able to find it, and dress it up a bit. So we've got this extra floor here that is on the inside, and it's lined up with on the right-hand side with the centre of the door opening. And it's further back there so that I can actually get this one in front to sit nice and low, because just snapping it in from the outside or putting it in naturally from the outside made it a little too high up, so you couldn't get through the doorway. The character's head would catch the lintel and you just couldn't walk through. So starting further in where the ground's a little lower allowed me to snap those down a little bit closer to the ground so we can actually path through. And these walls are being ever so slightly awkward now I've got that second floor in, and apparently it's the post there that's doing it on the edge of the door frame. So we'll figure that out in just a moment. Whip the door back out, put the foundation back in, And there we go. Now it works, and you see the centre divide of those two foundations is where the middle of the door is, more or less. Just notice it's a tiny bit off centre, but it's fine, it looks good. Or it will do when we're done. So now I can put a kind of shack with a roof, so that the point of the roof will meet up with the centre of the door. Actually, it meets up with the centre of that sort of flat stone on the top of the wall there. There's a kind of mortar line in the middle of it, which oddly enough is not actually in the centre of the door, as it turns out, because that's what I lined up with. These roofs are a little temperamental, probably because we're so close to the walls, but we managed to get them in eventually. There we go. And now we have a very basic little structure over the front there. We put a couple of guard posts in here, going with the concrete ones, because anything else would have been sort of too much and blocked up too much of the entranceway. These are a little on the small side for what I really wanted, but it works. Let's drop one in there, drop one on that side. Get them as close as we can. Now we've got a nice pathway through to the centre of the door. So we'll dress this up a little bit more, make it look a little scrappier, and we'll continue this concept around the outside walls during the decoration phase. I'll pile a load of bits and pieces up there just to make it look a little bit more wasteland and a little bit less clean. Because unless you're going for a military encampment, you don't want it looking too clean, IMO. So, a couple of junk fences. I'm going to flip this one around because I want the tyre stack that's on the other end of this to be facing the front on both sides. It looks considerably more even and neat. You can see the problem there. Just doesn't look great to the eye. We flip that round, nudge it up as close as we can. A little bit of persuasion required. That looks good. And now it matches up. So we'll dress it up a bit more later, but last but not least, before we jump onto decoration and the tour, I'm going to extend this back section out just a little bit on the back edge here, so that I can have a field here and get some crops in, because we gotta eat. So I want it a little bit bigger than that, so we're going to use one of the half-size pieces for the wavy willard walls. There we go. Just extend that out a tiny little bit further, and then we'll put the walls back across the back here. 1, 2, 3. And there we go. Nice. Job's a good one. So, tour time. Much decoration later. I have funny feelings about this one. Yeah, I think I'm happy with how it looks overall. Inside that monorail car at the top, which I picked mostly because it's flat up there, is a bit awkward to decorate, and I will show you what I did with it, right, being as it's decoration rather than building, when we get up there. But for now, see, I've dressed up the outer walls here, piled a few extra concreted tyres and truck beds and things like that around. Some nice flags there outside the entrance, give it just a splash of colour, as Cranberry Bog is considerably more colourful than most of the building pieces we have. A little bit more there. I wanted the front entrance to be kind of uniform and matching in its scrappiness, but around the rest of the sides it's a bit more junky, and I've just piled bits and pieces up. Now technically that bin gives way too easy access for anybody who wanted to attack the place, but fortunately enemies will not path up it. So we'll move on inside. Got a couple of generators here. They're just providing power for the lights, and useful little trick, if you just stick the conduit to the back of the generator and then connect it, you can basically drop those little Voltec generators anywhere, and you don't have to worry about trailing wires. It's a really nice little trick, that one. But it's providing plenty of light, and with the sundew plants we can find the entrance nice and easily. Head on in. So there we go. Tons more decoration done. I put a load of plants on the sort of mound of dirt in the centre there, just to kind of dress it up a bit, because it's a bit awkward to put any decoration on without having things float, and plants are one of the more effective ways of doing that. Let's have a little look on our guard posts here. I wanted a couple of turrets, because whilst this place hasn't really been attacked so far, I do get mole rats popping up most of the time when I log in, so it's handy to have a little bit of help there, and I imagine the same will apply when I fast travel here as well, so having some turrets to just give them a little whack a mole rat, certainly helps out. So same thing up here. I've basically done the same thing with all of these and just added a little bit of decoration in the form of those boxes there to give an impression of some ammo stores for the turrets. But I didn't want to block them up too much because I want to be able to run up there and fire down on anything that should turn up outside the walls as well. So I've got just a little basic setup for the shop there. I wanted it to be junky. The larger vending units would actually work quite well there, but They go quite nicely next to our little crafting area there. There's our red rocket collector on. End of the last season. We'll head around the back and take a little look at the farm here. So there's no water here, which is slightly unfortunate. So a whole load of rain barrel collectors are there, so I can easily grab a bit of dirty water if I need to, so I can make the corn soup. So just a few of those spaced around, add a little bit of decoration as well, so that works quite well. We'll look at the other crafting shack there. A couple of workbenches, little stash box in the corner and some lights. Simple, but it does the job nicely. So, let's head on upstairs. So the stairs weren't too bad to decorate. Obviously I didn't want to put too much on here and block my path up, but added a few bits and pieces just to make it a bit more interesting, look a bit more complete. We've got a few boxes, a few plants, that sort of thing. The view out from here is pretty nice over the Cranberry Bog. We'll head on up to the top. I should say, one of the things I did do was take advantage of the custom worlds. This build is entirely a public mode build, so you can certainly go ahead and do it even if you don't have custom worlds, but being able to set the weather to permanently clear is an absolute godsend for video making, so I've no plans on doing anything other than happy builder builds, so I want to make sure everybody has access to anything I build. So the next build will be a happy builder world build, but it's a public one so everybody can get at it. This one, and a few others, I'll just use the custom worlds to allow the tour making part of it to be much, much easier. So getting up to the top, let's have a little look at the decoration in here. So relatively basic, this. I've managed to get a few bits and pieces in, squeeze that grill in the gap between the seats there, smoke going out the broken windows. But unfortunately, because we're in an enclosed space with its own collision and stuff, what you can place in here is a bit limited. Most of the stuff in here had to be rug glitched in to get it to go in at all. With the decoration on the sides, everything on the seats was already here, and a lot of the stuff on the sides was too, but those statues and that lamp there, for example, I put in, but I dropped them on a rug, glitched it into the place, and then when I let go, the rug shot up to the ceiling there, which was a bit weird, but it's out of sight and doesn't look too obtrusive, so it kind of works. So yeah, I had to rug glitch those plants in as well there, the rad barrels. Some of these went in okay. The suitcase was already there. The generator, obviously, I put there, and again, I rug glitched it, and it shot up to the roof. But it was an exercise in patience putting stuff in here. So I just put a basic bed together. A couple of boxes, mattress on the top. Again, I had to rug glitch this as well. And then a sleeping bag on the top. But yeah, because a lot of the time things will just jump up into the roof and outside or on top of it. A lot of patience and some basic decoration was the order of the day to make that work. But it looks okay. A little bit of shelter from the wasteland weather. So yes, just to clarify what I was getting at before, happy builder worlds I will do because everybody has access to the public worlds. Custom worlds I won't do builds on because as useful as they are and as fun as it is to have the lack of restrictions, I don't want to shut out people who don't want to pick up Fallout first. So I will only use that to take advantage of it for recording as opposed to actually building. So clarify a little bit there. But yeah, all in all, quite happy with this place. It's a bit... it was a bit of a struggle to make it look the way I wanted it to because of the debris around it, but it looks pretty decent, I think. By the way, that billboard there went in reasonably easily. A little bit of patience to get it to line up, but no fancy tricks needed to get that to drop in. It just clipped through the ramps just fine. So there we go. I do hope you enjoyed this one. If you did, please do consider dropping subs and likes for me, hitting that notification bell so you know when I upload. It's very much appreciated. Down below the video you can find channel memberships, the merch store, and all my social media links if you're interested in supporting the channel that way. It massively helps out. And if you get a chance, do join us for live streams as well. We are, of course, Player 76 and The Witcher, and we've got Deathloop coming up next week as well, which should be good fun, so I hope you join us for that. But for now, thank you very much for watching. I look forward to speaking to you all very, very soon.